Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Typical of Vijay Kadu, he didn't give me too much notice on this one, couple of hours, and he said, let's do this chat. And to be honest, the real reason why I accepted the offer immediately is because it's a chance to get some ideas from you guys. So I have a few slides which I will run you through quickly, and post which I'd like some interaction so that we can actually get some new ideas from you guys. Much before most of you all were born, way back in 1969 was probably the most important event of the last century. This was a giant step for mankind when Mr. Neil Armstrong set his foot on the moon. Prior to that, when you said landing on the moon, it meant something that couldn't be done. But post that, it's possibly inspired two generations of people to kind of dream and achieve the impossible. This, I believe, has eventually paved the way for all the digital developments and the digital disruption that we have been seeing across the last two decades. We are 20 years into this century, and we are already seeing possibly one of the biggest global crisis that humankind has faced. And what we do now, the decisions we take now, we as business leaders, we as the government will actually decide the consequences going forward. What kind of a world will we inhabit when we go forward after, when we come out of this thing? One thing is very clear, that we are not going back to the old world. We are clearly getting into what everyone's now referring to as the new normal. Yes, we will survive. Yes, we will go forward. But the world we inherit is going to be completely different from the world that we came from. So it's almost like before Corona and after disaster. All of us know this in terms of the spread of the pandemic and how different countries have been hit with it across the globe. I don't think anyone has really been spared from this. But one thing, all of us, because this has been 4 weeks since we as an organization shifted to work from home. And all of us get very reflective at this time. One thing that's really hit all of us is that a tiny organism is actually forcing us to revisit our values, our divisions, our choices, as we huddle together at home with our closest family members. We can almost taste the anxiety when you hear that what if internet connection goes away, or we run out of food and resources, or worse, we can actually contact the virus. So from a very spiritual perspective, and this is my own understanding and learning, that more than a disaster, this is actually a corrector, right? We suddenly realize that we are all equal, that we are all connected, that our health is precious, life is short, how materialistic we had become, how much balance we had lost. And if you get a kind of understanding of the plan of the larger universe, this is a period of great calm. All the changes that we are forced to do now, we would have never done if it was business as usual. So clearly we see the business cycle going through probably 4 stages. First is actually the containment, which is where we are currently trying to contain and minimize the damage being done. I'm saying damage not just from the pandemic, but damage from the lockdown of the economy. Next step will be the recovery, when slowly more essential products will get back into a growth mode. Then would be the normalization, which more categories, more industries will start getting back to normal, and finally back to growth. It's just 1 or 2 slides on radio. Clearly, crises like this change consumer behavior. There was an increasing sense that radio is getting overshadowed with digital and with other media. But this has actually brought radio back to the fore. This is clearly radio's finest hour. The RJs have shown remarkable calm, and they have actually been the flag bearers of authentic news, killing fake news, trying to help the audience in trouble, trying to connect people with authorities, and so on and so forth. So an amazing amount of work is being done across all industries. We quickly did a study. This was a telephonic study we did in 6 markets last week. And this was a telephonic 550 people per city into the 6 cities. And very clearly, we are saying that the time spent on radio has gone up. The reach of radio has gone up and is second to television. The credibility and trust on radio is extremely high. And 52% of the audience is actually listening to radio through their mobile phones, even at home. The other big change and the opportunity, and I really believe this is an opportunity, is this is really a powerful and a career-making experience for all of us. For all of us who are already in the industry, for all of y'all who are planning to get into the industry. Clearly now, from my own media experience, business is almost stopped, right? Because our entire revenue is driven by advertising. With retail and point of sale coming to a halt, obviously, very few categories are advertising. There are some financial categories, and there is government as a category who are using media. But by and large, that has stopped. So first is to get prepared for these cancellations. Very clearly, what we are seeing is essential goods, essential products are wanting to get back quickly. Their production and distribution lines have been disrupted. So they are figuring ways to make sure that when the rebound happens, they are there to cater to it. And I think the expectation is that this rebound is not going to be U-shaped. It's going to be V-shaped. It's going to actually bounce back category after category. Not all categories, but category after category. Initially, it looks like the more essential goods that will bounce back, followed by the more non-durables and not that immediate essential items. Yes, there are categories like services, specifically hotels and travel and all of that, who might take much longer to get back. So one preparation that we have done is to actually work with the clients, be empathetic with them. We are really in touch with them through VC and through phone calls and whatever, and trying to understand their anxieties, understand their challenges, and see how we can partner with them on this. Strengthening the company's brand image and the competitive positioning becomes another critical piece that we have to do now, which we believe will help us when the bounce back happens. Third, despite being in the media play, we were all digitally a lazy organization. We were doing what basic minimum we had to do, holding on to the past, saying that we are finally a radio company, so let's just focus on radio. We've been forced to leapfrog into a completely digital play. First thing we did is we moved work to home, as I said, 4 weeks ago. As recent as 3 months ago, when I shifted 2 of our offices in Delhi and Bangalore to smaller offices, even there we went ahead and built conventional large studios with a lot of insulation and all other technical requirements. And suddenly we realized from the home, the RJs were able to actually go live. With a laptop, a sound card and a hand mic, he's able to directly through VPN get into the broadcast software and go live, or almost go live. Conventionally, it is typically a couple of minutes delayed. So the radio transmission is actually now moved away from offices and studios to the comfort of people's homes. This is also more real. This is also leading from example and telling all people to stay at home and not venture outside. Secondly, quickly we are launching live web radio stations because we believe we need more platforms to amplify the message. We've tied up with a large partner so that a lot of our content, which is an audio streaming partner, where all our content gets available as podcasts and as live streaming. So overnight, we've been forced to rethink our entire business model. So as you all know, this is no longer the survival of the fittest, but is the last one standing. So first is we have to prepare for a changed world. We're definitely not going back to the world that we left. And that means both in the business and in the political area, in the social and cultural space as well. So social networking while practicing social distancing, the health and well-being of our teams, our families and our community, the way brands are thinking and the brands that will grow during this period, government's own approach towards dealing with this, all this is actually kind of already changed in the few weeks that, I'm sorry if something went out. Can you guys see me?
Yeah.
Can you see the slide? No, right?
We can see the slide.
Okay, cool. The second point is, first thing we got to do is accept that we are in crisis and therefore experiment with the new. Clean up certain parts of the business which otherwise we were not willing to do. So even like I told you, if I were to shift to new offices now, I will definitely not go for the kind of offices I created 3 months ago. As recent as 3 months ago, we all felt that we needed this kind of facility and this kind of insulation and soundproofing and technology, which today we're suddenly seeing that it's actually very simple to go live through cloud-based systems. The other important thing is obviously we believe strong brands will recover quickly than the weaker brands. So you got to invest in credibility. You have to build a brand that plays a meaningful role, specifically in these times when you're there with your consumer. A great example I thought was when Dettol actually went and reduced the prices of Dettol. Now this was not a gimmicky pricing thing, but more assuring consumers that we are there for you. Deliver genuine value to clients and over communicate. There is need for, everybody's anxious, so there's a need to stay in touch. There's a need to empathize and need to understand. Every crisis is an opportunity. So that's also an opportunity to set the agenda. In a matter of, as an industry, radio has been struggling to create its own measurement mechanism. But in a matter of week, we actually managed to do a quick 1 week telephonic study, and suddenly all radio players are together, understanding that we need to set the agenda for the industry. What are the new markets available? What are the new opportunities available for our business? It's about syndicating content. It's about making sure the content is playing out in multiple platforms. Obviously, re-engineer ourselves, which means become value drivers, reskill ourselves, reimagine the way business has been done. So like I always end, I believe this crisis has forced us to go onward and upward. It's forced us to make changes that we would have otherwise never done. So it is definitely an opportunity. Thank you. That's all I have.
Abe, thanks.
you had briefed us about how the crisis has changed, and because of this crisis, you can change the technology for your benefit. That now you don't require a studios and your RJs can work from home. You also use the technology to your advantages in the scenario. Like I want to hear about that also. That about your hangout meetings, morning meetings.
Oh yeah, this
Yeah.
is something that we're extremely proud of. What we do every morning at 10 a.m. with an agenda. Every morning we have a half an hour presentation followed by a discussion with 200 of our top people. We have about 600 people in the organization, and different business leaders actually present a context and present ideas on how we can survive this challenge. And it's actually picked up so much of energy and so much of momentum that I mean, for me, the best test was someone checked whether we should do this on national holidays. So we immediately did a poll, and 125 people out of the 140 people who are fixed invitees immediately responded with saying, no, please don't stop this. Let's do it on all days. So the involvement, because it is about communicating and staying in touch. One of the big challenges of working from home is that you don't know when work starts and when work stops. So all of us start working from 6 in the morning and go on to late in the night. This is almost like a morning assembly in school where we all get together at 10, spend an hour discussing and debating a topic, and then we move on to this. And we find, I have to admit, that a 200 people video conference on Google Hangout is what we use. I don't get it so seamless when I do it from office. When we have heavy duty equipment and we have fixed lease line and we have all of that. And here we are able to do this seamlessly. So next week we are actually going on to industry experts to come and now share half an hour, 45 minutes with us. So it serves multiple purposes. One is obviously the communicating and staying in touch and bonding together. And second is the new thinking that all this is forcing us to do.
Good experience. I'll ask students to participate in the discussion. In case they have any question, they can come forward and ask directly to the Abe. Anyone else? Last question.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Hello,
this
sir,
is Nitish
Am
again.
I audible, sir?
Yeah.
Hello.
Yes.
I'm audible?
Yes.
Yeah. Hello, sir. This is Rahul Rajput. I'm from VGSoM second year MBA.
Great. Go ahead.
Sir, I want to ask one thing regarding MSME sector of India, because as you have said that strong brands recover quicker than weak brands after this COVID-19 crisis. So, as per my understanding, MSME contributes to around 30 to 35% overall GDP of India. And
Right.
if means after COVID-19, MSME can't afford to go digital. Also, they can't work from home. Means the work from home opportunities in MSMEs are very less. So, what are your views? What are your stakes? How the MSME growth will be after this COVID-19 impact?
You're absolutely right that the only point I believe is that wherever it was possible to use technology, this is forcing us to do that. 4 weeks ago, we would never have done any of this because we didn't need to. We'd get into office and then go about doing stuff. Yes, when it's manufacturing, when it is other core business processes, how much can technology help you to do that better is one point. Secondly, when I mean brand, I am not talking about just advertising and communication, which is important, but it's about the role that the brand is playing in the life of the consumer. So whether it's a B2B business or whether it's a B2C business, they have to be there for the consumer at this time, so that they can get a better sense of what the challenges are and therefore accordingly move ahead. Yes, core businesses have to get into a brick and mortar thing. There is no escaping from that.
His colleague, Dinesh Mohan colleague, Uday Shankar is also there on the. Uday
Okay,
Shankar
sir.
is also
Thank
part
you.
of it.
Okay, so I hope I've answered to the best I can.
Yes, sir. I got it. Thank you.
Next.
Hello. Hello, it's Dhananjay here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Sir, the question is regarding many of the many of the companies which are working in service, they have gone work from home. Also, the companies which are working in production, their corporate offices also have work from home. And with lesser loss of productivity, these people have realized that they can work from home. So, as per your experience, are you seeing or looking at anything like there will be drop in the expenses that these companies occur on infrastructure, because now they have realized that with little loss of productivity they can work from home. So could you see any kind of reduction in the expenses that these companies does on the infrastructure?
Oh, absolutely. Suddenly, what was a luxury your businesses can't afford. So all of us have to therefore look at smarter ways to being more effective. So very clearly, for example, in my Bombay station, we have 8 studios. We have backup studios, we have production studios, we have multiple production studios and so on and so forth. But this is a luxury of the old world. Now we are questioning ourselves, do we really need 8? Of course we need studios because you need guest interactions and you need to record live gigs and all of that. But then today technology is helping to do that much more easier. So you should. Again, it depends business to business. I have read cases where people have a small office and they don't have a fixed work tables, and they can come in and log in and go out. They can work in shifts. They can make bookings for meeting rooms and offices and come in and do it and then manage the rest by remote. So all these things will suddenly, people will start using because it's more efficient and it is smarter way to do business. So very clearly I see that happening. So an interesting example I was reading about, actually somebody told me about this first, is that in certain organizations, they even have an administration person who customizes your workspace for the 4-hour booking that you do. He'll come and replace the pictures and rearrange the workstation so that when you come in, you think it's still your own. And that's, you come for 4 hours whenever you need to come in. So it's possible to actually create great working spaces, but far more efficiently. Yes, infrastructure will get repurposed, will get relooked at in terms of what is the smarter way to do.
Yeah, sir, I got my answer. Thank you.
Right. Last 10 minutes, anyone else?
Yes, sir. So I'm Aaron, sir. Can you hear me?
Yep.
So you said about stronger brands recovering faster than weaker brands, and you also touched upon the trust and credibility that brands need to create. So in these times when not all brands are that visible or that accessible to the consumer, how do brands go about increasing that trust factor or building trust?
Yeah, I'm saying I saw a brilliant ad. I'm sorry, my example is more from advertising. I saw a brilliant ad which I think the Hindu came out with, which said that if you want to milk something, go milk a cow. It says that don't be opportunistic at this time. Don't try and do stuff which are very short term and which the customer, whether it's a business to business customer or a business to direct consumer, they will take offense to. At this time, in whatever way that you're touching the customer's life, touching the customer, you have to be empathetic, and you have to, in that interaction, build trust and credibility. You cannot suddenly say, I will only push higher volume packs. You cannot suddenly say, I'm increasing the price of my product because I know it's in short supply. You can't do that, because at this time, the consumer will never forgive you for that, because he will see you as an opportunity brand. So the challenge is to, in whichever way you're touching it. Yes, trust me, I'm not saying you have to go mass media and advertise. Nobody does that. But whichever way you're touching your end consumer, whether it's a business or a consumer, you must be empathetic, and in every interaction, build trust and credibility.
Anyone else?
Hello, sir.
Yeah,
Hello, sir. My name is Nitish. Am I audible?
yeah.
Yeah. So I have a question. Like, as revenue has gone down due to this COVID-19 situation, so should businesses start thinking of like insurance, business interruption insurance kind of thing, where if anything, this kind of thing happen in future, their business still be insured and revenue could be made up using that insurance?
You can't, insure for every eventuality. Yes, financial service security is important, and therefore sectors like insurance are already seeing increase in their inquiries, with people checking what all we can do. By all means, you have to protect your business. A lot of businesses are thinking of invoking the force majeure clause to say that give us a deferment on rent payment for the next 3 months, give us a deferment on other costs that we can't at this point afford. So we definitely need to think beyond the basic insurance that all of us were doing, and because this is really kind of exposed how inadequately prepared we are.
Yes.
This is Rahul Rajpur. I have one question for you. As you have mentioned, the business cycle recovery will be of the V shape, not a U shape. So my question here is, what are the expectations from the MBA graduate passing out this year, which were not into the picture before COVID-19 crisis, and which are expected from now?
See, I think primarily every time we hire management trainees or fresh trainees from different organizations, the initial expectation used to be, please come in, please understand our business, please understand our processes. Till you understand them and run them, don't suggest changes. Once you have understood the processes and why we do what we do, then by all means, you are expected to make improvements and make changes, right? Organizations, I'm almost implying that by and large have a lot of inertia against change. They want to protect what is running well and not adapt new technologies and new paradigms that are continuously opening in front of us. I think the big advantage for people like yourselves when you come in is that you're coming in from the cold, and therefore you are able to view things far more objectively. So my next batch of trainees, I would tell them that, guys, come in and tell me how to change. What are the new changes we got to do now? Rather than saying, take care 1 year, run the business, run the processes before you suggest change.
Okay, sir. Fine, I got my answer, sir.
So the opportunity is huge for you guys.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And I'm very optimistic that the recovery is V-shaped, because this was forced on us. It's not that people were not consuming, but now the paradigms have changed. Therefore, suddenly, moment things begin to get back to normal, you will see a spike in consumption.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Sir, so I have a question, sir. So you rightly said that you're pretty much optimistic about the revival phase being V-shaped rather than U-shaped. So in the rebound phase that is going to happen, and you said it will be mostly category by category. So what is going to decide the order or how the different categories are going to react in this rebound phase?
Yeah, I wish I had a crystal ball to actually look at this. It would depend a lot in terms of how we are able to control the spread of the virus itself. But right now, it appears that it will first be the most essential items, followed by the more durable items, followed by the more aspirational and lifestyle items. So that seems the conventional order of how industries will bounce back. A lot of industries have completely disrupted their production cycle, their distribution cycle. So that will take them weeks to actually come back to the original capacity, to get back to 100%